Hello, welcome to my workbench. In this video, I'm going to show you what I did to smooth out the stick movements on my DX9 radio. This is an advanced procedure. Static discharge from your hands could damage your radio, so touch something metal before you begin. If you have no experience servicing electronics, then do not attempt this procedure. You will need a No. 1 Phillips head screwdriver, clear synthetic grease, 2 alcohol pads, bearing oil, not shown, a paper towel to wipe your hands clean, and possibly a toothpick because, well, it's always a good idea to have a toothpick on hand. So let's get started. First, remove the battery from the DX9. Next, you're going to remove 8 screws using your No. 1 Phillips screwdriver and remove these 8 screws from the back plate, and this will free up the chassis. There's no need anymore to remove the rubber grips to take off the back plate. Take extra care when removing the antenna cone. Just rock it back and forth until it frees up. Use your right hand and use the antenna handle as a grip to break apart the chassis. Be extra careful when removing the back plate, as the antenna wire is pretty fragile and only secured using a zip tie. Now that the DX9 is opened up, we can move on to servicing the gimbals. Let's begin by removing the 4 screws holding the first friction bracket. Use an alcohol pad to clean the plastic part where the friction bracket rides on. Then clean the friction bracket itself. I use Tri-Flow synthetic grease. It's safe to use on plastic. Apply a dab to the plastic part that comes in contact with the friction bracket and spread it with your finger. Don't glob it on. Then apply some to the actual friction bracket itself, and again spread it with your finger, wiping off the excess. That's it. Now reattach the friction bracket. The friction bracket is split into 2 pieces, a ratcheted side and a non-ratcheted side. Since I'm a helicopter pilot, my cyclic stick has no friction applied and certainly no ratcheting applied, so I leave them loose. Now take some bearing oil and apply some between the inner and outer race of each gimbal bearing. Moving on to the other gimbal, because I'm a helicopter pilot, I do have some friction on my throttle collective stick. However, I do not have ratcheting on this stick, and it's left loose, as you can see here. So the friction side will have to be adjusted to your liking once you're done with this procedure, which is not a big deal. Now look how dirty the friction bracket has become. It's got spent grease, dirt, grime, and microscopic particles from the plastic that it rides up against. Here's a close-up shot of the plastic on the gimbal. Notice all the dirt and grime that's on there. This is from typical wear and also the dirty fields that we fly at. So take your alcohol pad and wipe all that grime away. Now apply the synthetic grease just as you did with the other friction bracket. I apply just a tad more on this side than the other side because I do have some friction applied for my throttle collective stick. Now use some bearing oil and apply it to each gimbal bearing for this side. Reattach the friction bracket. Now I do have some friction on this stick, and that's the screw I use to apply the amount of friction that I like. The ratcheted side is left loose. So you will have to readjust that side of the friction bracket to your liking. You're finished. Now carefully fold the back plate onto the front plate as you see here, making sure that you don't pinch any of the wires. Flip the DX9 over and check your sticks. Make sure that the friction is to your liking and that they're moving free and they're correct. Then flip it back over and insert the screws into the back plate to begin closing up and securing the back plate to the front plate. Exercise some care when reattaching the antenna cone. And finally, reinstall your battery.
Warning, throttle high.